I see that one of our primary purposes with existing on this planet is to bring our uniqueness and our learning from that uniqueness back to the whole, back to the universe. And you can't do that if you're being a cookie cutter of someone else.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment,
a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine,
bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics,
giving you easy and practical solutions.
Guided by
me, Dr. Larissa Sharipova,
and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, a beautiful soul dropping some beautiful wisdom. I sit down with Kallie Kendle, a true pioneer and the creator of Innate Academy, where she helps her client partners find their own path. Her background with a master's in organizational psychology, her internal family systems facilitating, her 15 plus years of shamanic practice and training, as well as 25 years at the 7th Academy, and her success in bright line eating all come together in her beautiful, pioneering wisdom. You're going to love this episode. Reserve your spot today on the Tuscany Transformation Retreat, June 15th through the 21st, 2025. Reconnect with your inner beauty, power, and abundance. Come join Dr. Larissa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, for 6 nights and 5 full days in the beautiful Tuscan countryside. We'll be staying at a villa that has a gorgeous swimming pool and hot tub, a Turkish bath, as well as this amazing yoga studio overlooking the olive trees and the vineyards. We'll offer daily yoga, meditation, breath work, sound healing, spa treatments, a Tuscan bike ride, a pasta cooking class, olive oil and wine tastings, as well as amazing, amazing food. For more detailed itinerary, check out our website and reserve your spot today. We've got 9 spots available. I am so excited. Today on Harmonic Alignment, I am here with my dear friend, Kallie Kendle. She has been a mentor to me, but she's actually mentoring others, and I really am excited to share her process and her work that she does at the Innate Academy. So Kallie, thank you so much for joining today, and welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
What kind of inspired this path and direction for you to help mentor people?
You know, as many of us, I kind of came to it kicking and screaming. I didn't want to have my own business, but I just keep amassing all this learning and all this experience, and have utilized many other mentors and coaches and such. And while I've had great mentors and coaches and therapists, I wasn't seeing that out there.
You weren't finding the voice of wisdom to really help you on your journey or
Right.
your path.
Right. One day I woke up like, well, you could give this to others, give what you want and need to other people. And it just kind of went from there, kind of fell into place. And one day I woke up and I'm like, oh, I know what the name's going to be. It has to be the Innate Academy. Still growing into that, but it's, I know because it's an inward journey.
I love that.
And that we already have our wisdom inside of us. We don't have to go seeking a lot of externals. Your path will show you the way. So that's the Innate Academy.
I think everyone's trying to sell somebody something that, you're not enough. You need to be fixed. And what you're trying to tell people is, no, you have everything you need. You just need to find your way back to it or tap back into it.
You might need some guidance. You might need some help along the way, but you've got it. Yeah.
You talk a lot about holistic change in the work that you do. Can you explain what holistic change means to you?
Sure. I call it holistic change, and the subtitle for what I wanted to talk about here today is fueling your change.
Fueling your change. Okay, I like that.
The reason I use the word holistic is because I'm interested for myself and my client partners in change that's long-term, that lasts. I'm not about the quick fix, because for me, change is not a one and done. It's not linear. One of the images that I picked up early on that I really gravitate towards and can help me when I'm feeling stuck or like I'm repeating something that I've already done is if you look at it from like a top-down view, it can look like it's a circle, like you're just repeating the same thing. But what I came to realize is you need to look at a different perspective, take the side view, and it's an upward spiral.
Oh, I like that visual.
Yeah.
Of an upward spiral.
It's an upward spiral. Yes, you might cover some of the same ground, but you're doing so from a place of experience. You've learned something, you've gained something.
You're not just standing still.
You're not
Every
standing
time
still.
You're actually moving. You're
You're
spiraling
moving up.
That's beautiful and helpful, because I think when we keep making the same mistakes, or have a friend and she seems to date the same man over and over again, right? But she's gaining some wisdom in that. We hope it's easier to recognize it the second time, and then hopefully the third time
and to see the patterns. So another reason why holistic change is because change that lasts, that I mentioned is what I'm interested in, is often when you bring all of your intelligences together. So it's your imaginal and your intuitive and your body. Please, let's bring our bodies along for the ride. We tend to leave them out, like they're just here to carry our heads around or something. And our emotions. It's a huge part of my work. And then, of course, your intellect. But it really is in that order, not the intellect first. Because we live in our heads way too much. So that is a much more holistic type of view. I take many, many perspectives. There's no one camp that I'm in, or one modality, or one training, or whatever. And it's whatever my client partner needs. So that is holistic to me. I also see that change and transformation for anybody is unique. We're on a unique path. So it's never going to look the same. That can be daunting and a little scary, but once you accept that, you need to find your way. It may look similar to other people's, but it's still your way. Another image I'd like to share is that the universe is like this one-room schoolhouse. We are unique on purpose.
Wow.
Because we're here to have this unique experience so that we can bring that learning back to the universe from our perspective. It's that many perspective.
Okay.
And maybe even, as happens in a one-room schoolhouse, even turn around and teach a fellow classmate. You're here to quite literally make the whole bigger.
I couldn't agree more. Make the whole bigger. I love that. And that means, to me, I believe we're all one when it gets down to it. And that one person's suffering or one person's success and healing is part of. So when you help a client, you're not just helping that client, you're helping yourself and you're helping all of humanity.
Right. And we don't talk about that very often. And not just humanity, but the whole planet and
and beyond.
And beyond. But I also teach change is holistic because it's a process.
Okay.
It's not linear. And that's where we go back to that spiral, that upward spiral. We get really focused on goals and such.
I love that you said that, because I often think that that's actually can be very destructive. If you think that you have this goal in stone and this is exactly what I'm going to do, it can really take people off of what I think is a holistic or even a spiritual path, for the greater good.
Their own trajectory, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll ignore signs, they ignore
things. They
things.
Ignore everything because they think they know where they're supposed to go, but the universe is showing them, no, it actually might even be better than where they were going to go, but they never paid attention because they were so fixated on something.
Right, exactly. Thanks for saying that. So, for all these reasons, I call it holistic change. So
I love that. When a client comes to work with you, what is that experience like with you?
I've heard it said from my clients that it is very different. One of the things that I do that is, I think, unique, and it might sound very subtle, but in one of the agreements we have in working together, and they don't have to say yes to this, but I've never had anybody say no, is that I'm asking them, I call it the big ask. Right up front, I'm saying, I want you to show up fully as yourself. Don't hold back. Don't think it's too whatever.
You're not enough or too much.
You're not enough or too much or too left side, right side, too woo-woo, too straight, too alternative, too whatever. And then I make the same agreement because, of course, we live in this society where everybody wants us to conform. So people end up sharing things with me that they've told me they've never shared with anybody else. It seems to allow them to get to a level of healing and a level of integration.
I love that. Because they were able to speak your truth, be their authentic self. You were your authentic self, and you held space for that transformation.
Right.
Oh, we need more of this in the world. Is there some examples of holistic change that you have either through yourself or with your clients and their journey that you could share with us?
Sure, the one I was thinking of, because it's so recent for me, I could be stubborn, I don't know, it's like the Scorpio in me or something.
I love
but,
that.
I was kind of kicking and screaming around this change. I wasn't going to do this, and now I am, so there you go. So the change is around doing circuit training, showing up at the gym, lifting weights.
Okay, I love this because I think at some point we all have to come back to getting back in the gym, but it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Like I said, I swore against it. Used to do it in college and grad school and just never wanted to go back for whatever reason. It's not that I had a horrible experience. I just felt like it was behind me. My bigger picture around this is I've known for a long time that, and I don't know how, I know,
Right.
that I am going to live a long time.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
I do come from, family that is long-lived, but I fully expect to see 100. But like many people, I don't want to do that if I'm not thriving.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be healthy. I want to be capable. I want to be
Vibrant.
Yeah, exactly.
So you put that in the universe, that you want to live a healthy, vibrant life.
Right. And you've been on part of my journey with me, and I've made lots of strides in this area. But, up till now, the weightlifting was not one of them. So I happened to stumble across one of these online summits. Mm-hmm. That seemed inspired. Literally, the name is Live Long and Thrive.
Okay, I love it. So
It's
like, okay, this is what you put in the universe, and now you're seeing a summit that says Live Long and Thrive.
Right. And so I'm like, well, that's aligned. So I started listening to it. And one of the speakers was someone I'd heard before. In fact, I've heard him many times. His name's Ari Whitten.
Oh, okay.
He's all about the mitochondria and other things. And I've read his book, and I was going to skip the talk because I thought, well, I know what this guy's got to say.
Right.
And some niggling in my mind, it was like the universe saying, oh, just listen to this.
Right.
Like, it won't hurt. It's an hour out of your life. I was flabbergasted. He changed his approach. I got a whole new fundamental shift in how I see things around this.
He'd evolved enough, and you were ready for some new information.
Right. And like I said, I was going to skip it. So one of the fundamental things he talked about is that the thing that keeps us from thriving, from feeling well and doing well, is fragility. And he said it's actually the number one cause of death, at least in the United States, for anybody over about 60. I didn't really exactly know what fragility was, but it's all about movement. It's the physical nature of our bodies. Mm-hmm. And it is specific kinds of movement. It's agility, it's balance, it is weight bearing, which is something I already do, and it is something called explosive movement, which is the kind of movement that you do in sports, which most of us, including myself, gave up,
years ago.
Many years ago. But that's what does what apparently the fast twitch muscle fibers.
Okay.
It's what allows our bodies to make those split second decisions and to not fall, to not get the break, to catch ourselves.
It keeps you sharper.
It keeps you sharper, quicker.
Okay.
Yeah, all of that. And that goes when you don't use it. It's the old adage, but
use it or lose
use
it.
Use it or lose it. But he, explained all of that in a way that I could take in much more easily at this point. And then he's like, start small, balance can be just standing on one foot, start where you're at kind of thing. So I felt so encouraged. Fragility cuts short your length and quality of your life. Oh, and by the way, you're never going to see this on a death certificate, even though it is apparently the number one cause of death, because it's not a disease.
Someone being frail and dying because they're frail or weak, but that's,
we see it as natural.
We see that as natural. Wow. Yeah.
And what Ari is saying is that there's nothing natural about it, but you don't use it, you lose it.
Right. If you're not moving forward as you get older and you just stop being active, that's basically is what leads to it.
Right. So my thinking up until hearing this talk was I work part-time at Trader Joe's, and we do a lot of physical work. I'm carrying 50-pound apple boxes and standing on my feet for 7 hours. So I thought, well, I have a buy.
You're strong.
I'm strong. I've got this. I'm good. After listening to this talk, I realized after a couple days and going to work again, yeah, but I'm not moving in that way, and I'm not moving in that way, and I'm not getting any cardio. And somehow this shift happened because of the talk and such that I was now willing, I wanted to go to the gym. I don't even know where it came from, but, something shifted. My imagination started working and bringing me pictures of what would it look like in my life.
How would you show up differently?
How would I show up differently? Mm-hmm. How would I incorporate this? Because again, I'm really only interested in lasting change, and if I'm going to devote time and effort and all of that, I want it to be woven into the fabric of my life. Well, the other thing my imagination was bringing me was the things I didn't want. My partner, Tony, goes to a gym, and it's your typical gym, and it's not my idea of what I want to do.
So you had a vision of what you didn't want to do was not the normal gym experience.
Right. And, it works for him and it works for many people, and I'm not set against that at all, but it wasn't going to be my thing, especially the beauty aspect and the contracts and the competition and just that whole scene. Well, we even have a YMCA close to our town, and it's a fairly new one. I drive past it frequently enough, and I know that their weight room literally overlooks the road. Well, I'm about beauty. I need a good aesthetic. I mean, I love YMCAs. I used to go to one for yoga and such, but
still wasn't the right
it wasn't the right scene.
Okay.
And I also knew I didn't want the reverse. I didn't want everybody driving by staring at me while I'm working out. Well, after a day or two, it hit me. Our township has a recreation center.
Okay.
And I'd been there a few times. And then I remembered, that weight room, it isn't just a rec center. It's an environmental center.
Okay.
They have a green roof. They have all this. It sits on 10 acres of wooded land.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And that workout room has 2-story windows overlooking the woods.
Wow, I love that aesthetic. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, very motivated. And then I, looked it up online. No contracts. You can do books of passes. It's inexpensive. All of this. So I'm like, yay, I can dip a toe
to see if
this is a match for me. Mm-hmm. If this is going to work, I don't have to, commit to something long term. So I've been doing that. And after about 3 weeks of doing the circuit myself, I was noticing that people were talking to a particular person and getting help from this person. And I got up the courage to go talk to her, and she's a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I come to find out that she's free. Her services are free, just as, paying for that low fee to use the gym, and the fact that I'm a member of the township.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I signed up for some sessions because I also know in terms of change, it's really good to get support and that it would get me off on the right foot. I mean, I used to very many years ago work out with weights and thought, I was doing okay, but
It's always good to have somebody checking your form to
exactly.
make sure you're doing it correctly. I myself have recently got back into it. And if you can't see, sometimes just you're tilting your neck too far forward can
right.
really throw you out of alignment. And that's the last thing you want to do is be injured. You really just want to get stronger and, more mobile.
And one of the very first things she did was about posture.
Posture is so important.
And I thought, well, bless you. Like, I didn't know that was going to be part of the journey, but
right.
It was great. It's wonderful. So that's been amazing. It's early days. It's in like the first 2 months of my doing this.
Does it feel serendipitous? You had put this intent in the universe that you wanted to live healthy and vibrant to 100, and now it's like you've been led. Are you tapping into your inner knowing? Is this part of the inner academy work?
It feels like I'm being led.
You're being led.
Right.
But if you weren't checking in with yourself and following the signs of the universe, this probably would never have unfolded.
I think that's true.
Do you have any other thoughts on holistic change?
I see change as this journey, as I mentioned, and it's like a train. And it's not the short commuter train that just keeps running on the same tracks kind of thing. It's a long distance freight train. A long train that's carrying a lot of cargo, etc. It's got to go up and down mountains, around curves, all sorts of things. When you want to transform, you want to be a runner, or you want to be someone who walks every day, or you want to shift a relationship, or whatever. It's a little daunting, but you're going to need to build some of your own track.
I love that. Right. You got to take ownership and pave your own path.
Right. Now, there are people like myself, like yourself, like many people out there, like this personal trainer, whomever, that can help you, that can be guideposts, that can tell you where to look, can tell you where to fuel your change, where to put your energy.
Right, right.
Kind of what you were saying a minute ago about paying attention to the right things.
Right.
That's part of fueling your change. So using that as an analogy, I wanted to take your listeners on a couple stops along the journey.
Okay, take us away on the train.
So we're going to do 3 stops. The first stop is to get that picture, that image, the long-term view of your identity, what you want to become when this change
seeing it as it's already happened.
Right. And where it's woven into your life, where it's a part of the fabric of your life. Why? Because our bodies talk in sensation and images and emotion and much less vocabulary, much less intellect. So in my example, I imagined what living this robust life and like I said, my imagination brought me images of people I've known. I had a great aunt that would ride her bike everywhere, miles and show up at people's houses and stuff when she was in her 90s.
Oh
and,
my goodness, I love that.
Inspiring. Yeah.
You included all of that in your visualization.
Right. Because it was coming to me. But you kind of have to allow it.
You have to give yourself the space to
right.
let your mind wander to create that vision.
Right. So the practical action I wanted here is to document your inspiration.
And how do we document it?
So this comes from one of my teachers, Barbara Scher. Sorry, I just have to say this because it always made me laugh. She has recently passed, but she lived a full life and has left an amazing legacy. But one of her bylines was like, I'm not new age, I'm old age. I'm going back to the basics.
She's going back to the ancient wisdom.
Ancient wisdom.
Forward.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Good for her.
Right.
I'm not new age, I'm old age.
So the idea here is that when you're motivated, when those early days of being inspired, is to write it down in detail. So capture all your thoughts. What inspired you? Like in this case, this talk by Ari Whitten, and what is it that he said, and all of that, and what are these other images that came to mind, how I saw it playing out, all of that kind of stuff. One of the reasons for doing this, it's just a good exercise anyway, and again, I learned this from Barbara Scher, expect resistance.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So whenever we go to change something that we're doing, especially when it's something that we want to weave into the fabric of our life, there's parts of you that are going to resist that. We don't need to get into all the reasons, but it just is. It's a natural
thing to resist change.
It's a natural thing.
Okay.
And I love her advice about this. Let it happen.
Don't be afraid of it. Don't ignore it.
Feel it.
Expect it.
And wait it out.
Love that. Expect it and wait it out.
Don't push it. Don't beat yourself up about it. If you're going to be the couch potato and all of a sudden you were like, 3 weeks ago I was totally inspired and now it's waxing and waning, just expect it.
Expect it.
But please have done that documenting of your inspiration.
Right.
Ahead of time. And that can be a journal, and that can be computer that you can record your voice, however you want to do it. And then when you allow this lull to happen, your energy will come back around the project. By the way, it's not going to look the same. And that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Because you're going to be from a much more stable, much more grounded place.
Not just pie in the sky aspirations. Now you have some solid foundation as you move forward. Oh,
so
I love that.
it may feel more sober, but it's more informed, really.
Oh, I love it.
And
Okay.
that's when you pick up that writing. So make sure you've got it someplace where you're going to find it.
Right. And you can come back to it.
And you come back to it and you read it in detail. And you put yourself back in that place. And from that place, you then take one thing, small things that you can do today or tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
And you do them.
Baby steps. So make the phone call, do the research.
Right. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something small to get you started, and then see what happens. The universe will give you feedback.
Right.
You're taking action will give you feedback. So plan for both the long term, expect resistance, allow it to happen, document your inspiration, and then go from there.
That's a hell of a first train stop. I love that, Kallie. Okay. That's really cool.
So stop number 2, getting support on board.
Okay. That's a tough one. It can be, depending on who's in your life, I think.
It may seem, like you might think in my example that it's pretty early days, just a few weeks to get support on board. This is actually when you need to get support on board.
Okay. Early on.
Early. As much as you can. None of these steps are linear.
Right.
I'm using the train analogy and stops, but you may revisit some of these or go into more depth. But there are 2 reasons to get support on board early on. 1, we're creatures of habit. So we're going to fall back. Again, expect it.
Right.
So having support on board helps with that. And 2, as Brene Brown tells us, we are wired to belong. So if we only have people in our corner around us that are living the life that we've been living and without this change that we want, we're going to fall back into that because literally our psyches have to feel like we're not weird.
You don't want to step too far outside of your tribe. Otherwise, they'll kick you out.
Right. So we need to expand our tribe.
I love that.
It's a great way of saying it. What that does is it allows our bodies, and this is where my somatic experiencing training is coming in, it allows our bodies to feel safe.
Wow. That's really powerful.
So it's subtle, but it's there. And then from some of my other training, and I love this, and it's been the image for me has been so helpful. Susan Pierce Thompson, who founded Bright Line Eating, she wrote this book about Reboot Resume. It's about how to get back on to change. And what she talks about is getting your support bar higher than your current life challenges. So if you don't have that many challenges right now, then you don't need that much support. But there's no shame in asking for support. I don't know why, but Americans, that independent thing.
We think we have to go it alone.
Go it alone. I know I was certainly taught that way or picked it up,
Right.
osmosis. All it means if you are feeling challenged is you just need to up your support.
Okay.
That's all it means. You just need to ask for more support. You haven't failed. You haven't faltered. You just need more support. So up that bar. And then one of the people in her membership coined this term, which I just dearly love. So you've heard of things like a gaggle of geese or a murder of crows or something like this. Well, she came up with an embarrassment of support.
An embarrassment of support. Oh, it almost makes you want to gush. Like, it's because people are so loving and kind for you there that it's almost embarrassing that you've got so much love and support. That's
Yes.
beautiful.
And that's what I want you to shoot for,
Okay.
to aim for, is that support bar higher than your life challenges and an embarrassment of support. So if your old self would look back at this and say, really, I'm doing this, and I've, asked
Right.
this person, and like that would have been embarrassing before, perfect.
Good.
An embarrassment of support. So the practical action here is to find your level of support based on that, and then adjust as needed.
Okay.
And what that can look like is finding an online group that meets on some regular basis, or in-person group that might meet. Meetups are great for this. People that are doing the kinds of things that you're, trying to do.
That community support.
That community. Let's say you want to, walk more frequently. It could be asking a friend to walk with you 2 times a week.
Right. Having that support.
Having that support, having someone along on your journey with you. It could be having a weekly scheduled call, like
Right.
something that you and I do.
Right.
That has been amazingly supportive to me.
Right. Just having a friend that you check in with.
Just
a partner
having
to check in
someone,
with.
a sounding board.
Yep.
Someone, hey, excuse me, this is what I did this week. And I want to preface this by, from my point of view, this is not someone who holds your feet to the fire.
No.
From my point of view, it's the opposite. It's someone that gives you the space to show up as yourself.
I love that. Yep.
And
space for you to be you.
Right. And to hear what's going on and to help you troubleshoot and to help you do all sorts of things. But, you will naturally, if you said you're going to do something, the next time you see them, you want to tell them, did you do it or not?
Right.
And not because they're going to beat up on you, but because
They want to celebrate you.
Right.
Yeah.
You could secure the services of a coach or a mentor like me, or in this example that I gave earlier, getting the personal trainer
Right. As an additional support.
as an additional support.
Love that.
So getting support on board allows you to incorporate the change on a day-to-day basis, and it
Love
makes
that.
it stick. So that's stop number 2.
Third train stop.
Third and final train stop. This is having a big enough why.
Ooh. Man, that makes a lot of sense. We don't even think about it.
We don't. And one of the big reasons for doing this is we want to get that emotional commitment behind the change.
Because the emotions bring more power to your why.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Makes total sense.
Well, and they connect us to our bodies, and they connect us to our wisdom, and they connect us to that intuition, and it's all connected. So another reason for getting a big enough why is because we mentioned it early on, is that our society teaches us to go for goals.
Yep.
Now that is an aim,
Right.
but it's actually not what you want. What you want is who you will become on the way to striving for that goal.
That's a great reframe.
what you want. We don't think about it. We're not taught that. It isn't glamorous. It's harder to
We
define.
want to become the person that achieves that. not the actual thing we achieve.
Because it's in building those own train tracks that you find out, oh my, I have it within me to build my own train track. Like I figured this out. Like I got support on board. I did this. I did that.
Wow. Right.
I became the person.
It makes you think it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what people mean by that. Now, the goal is a good aim, and you know, we all need the aim. But as you mentioned earlier, when you're taking in what the universe is bringing you, it can end up looking very different.
Right. It could be a lot better than you imagined.
Absolutely.
And if you just stay focused on that one thing, you may miss all the magic.
Right. It's perfect. It's perfect. So it's the person that you become when you're taking that journey. So the practical action here is to find a big enough internally sourced why. And the reason I emphasize that is because if you make your why contingent, it's going to sound like a paradox from what I just said earlier about support, but it's nuanced. If you make your why contingent upon somebody else's doing the change with you, losing weight with you, being part of this program with you, or whatever, it's not a big enough why.
Yep.
Because there are going to be days when they don't want to do it. They may decide that this isn't for them, and now your motivation is gone. Mm-hmm. So you do need people in your corner, but the why has to be internal from yourself. And again, this is one of those that you want to start out early days with understanding what this is, but it's going to evolve. That why is what will help you pull you through the day-to-day when the challenges come up, and they will. So if you have this vague thing that, I just want to be healthier, that's not going to help you when you're going for the remote to binge watch some program when you told yourself you were going to go out for the walk.
Right. That's not enough.
It's not enough. So my example was, the really big why, which is the live long and thrive. Mm-hmm. But the specific around exercise and movement is being robust. And that image of what that looks like for me.
Right. The most vibrant version of yourself.
Right.
I love that.
Right. So stay open to revising this one, but keep looking for that bigger why.
Because there's going to be even more magic, I think, it's going to unfold as you approach this more vibrant lifestyle. There's going to be some other good things that, continue to happen. It's not just...
Absolutely. Like in my example, I didn't know that the whole posture thing was going to be part of this.
That's going to affect your every moment of every day.
Right. And, this personal trainer is teaching me agility and, the simple things about sideways movement or where your weight distribution is and things I never even thought about.
Right.
And things that Ari Whitman didn't mention. It's adding to that
more
why.
To your why. Oh, I love that.
So those are my ideas around holistic change. The early days,
right.
There's plenty of other stuff, but how to fuel that change. So that is, take that long-term view, get that picture in your mind's eye, document it, and expect resistance and let it happen. And then pull that vision back up and go from there. And then get yourself an embarrassment of support.
Love that one.
And keep adjusting as you need. And then keep an open-ended, big enough why.
Kallie, that's fantastic. What a beautiful gift to share with our audience on how they can start to manifest some of the things in their lives in a concrete way. Like you just kind of walk people through that. You'd mentioned to me before the show that there was an offer for our listeners that you were going to share with them today. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. So if anybody has resonated with what I've shared or anything I've mentioned about how I mentor people, and that's one of the things I call what I do mentoring instead of coaching. And I love coaches, but I see what I do is walking besides my client partners. And I see them as partners because we're on this journey together. We're in that one room schoolhouse, I mean, I have a lot to give, and I've done a lot of training and everything else, but I'm always learning, and I love to learn, and that's part of what I'm passing on. So if you are interested in securing 3 sessions with me, your listeners can take half off the first session.
Oh, fantastic.
So-
Okay. I'd like to end each episode right now with, if you had the ability to talk to every soul on the planet, do you have some wisdom that you would drop in? What would you like to share?
Wow, what a big question. And a great question. I think what I would say is, it's your journey, it's your path. Find that path. Find your way. You know, it will be unique. I know how frustrating it can be. You may not be able to wrap it up with a bow and explain it to somebody in 60 seconds or less, but it will fulfill you for the rest of the days of your life, you know. And that's what this planet needs more of.
Yep.
People who feel and are vibrant and alive and themselves. Because as I mentioned at the top of this, I see that one of our primary purposes with existing on this planet is to bring our uniqueness and our learning from that uniqueness back to the whole, back to the universe. And you can't do that if you're being a cookie cutter of someone else.
Well, that is a mic drop moment, my friend. Being your authentic self is how you contribute to making humanity better. That's so beautiful, Kallie. I have learned so much from you. I have gained so much wisdom and insight in my own life just by being in connection with you. And I'm so grateful for you sharing today.
I feel the same about you.
Thank you.
I mean, our friendship and our work together has been fundamental in me staying the course and doing what I do and not feeling crazy and and all of that. So
Thank you. Same. So where can people find you?
my company is called the Inner Academy, and you can email me directly. And you can check out my website, which is inner-academy.com.
Well, I know that you have been such a part of my journey, and I know you're helping a lot of people, and I know there's definitely people out there who could use your wisdom and guidance in their life. So thank you so much. Thank you for being on Harmonic Alignment, and until next time.
We are so excited today to share with you one of our favorite new products to help your skin optimize. Discover the next generation of skincare with Civ Biome Balancing Serum, a groundbreaking spore-based formula designed to harmonize your unique skin microbiome. Powered by advanced quorum sensing technology, this innovative serum restores balance and promotes resilience from within, adapting to your skin's natural biology for a healthier, more resilient barrier. By establishing a strong, balanced foundation, it revitalizes your skin and enhances its natural beauty. Experience the power and harmony with your skin and transform your routine with Civ Biome Balancing Serum. Available at sivcare.com, civcare.com. Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larissa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. And starting in the new year, we're offering an Energy Mastery Program, a monthly membership which will give you access to a monthly scan as well as 2 group masterclasses to help you optimize your wellness in the new year. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larissa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz, and the producers are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.